me.
There's Richard. Here's Richard.
I'm leaning back so that you can see Jeff.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast stream, where we are going to deliberate the most ubiquitous aspects of many given topics on this podcast in general. But tonight, the Mount Rushmore of sports ejections. Not just baseball, not just football. It could be any sport ejection. Could be competitive diving, could be chess boxing.
With a sports ejection from diving, they put a trampoline at the bottom.
You just pound.
Get that out mid-flight and you're just gone.
So we are going to go for it. So this is the Mount Rushmore podcast. If you've never seen this thing before, I'm trying to be on camera here. If you've never seen it before, I place these cameras in the worst spots. If you've never seen heard of Mount Rushmore podcast before, we've been running for like 5 years. We're almost at like 6 years. We're almost at like 300 episodes, and we are awesome. And you can find us by searching Mount Rushmore podcast on any search engine of your choice. And do us a favor, search for it, download, rate and review past episodes. We'd love to hear what you think. So we're going to get the begging done out front, and then we're going to jump right into the episode. This was Richard's choice, the Mount Rushmore of sports ejections. Richard has been kicked out of buffets.
Uh-huh.
He's been kicked out of buildings of faith, churches, synagogues, things like that, for protesting.
For both sides, actually.
What's it, really?
For protesting both sides.
Is that right?
He's got one of those. The placards that you turn around.
Yeah.
Yay God.
Nay God.
Nay God.
He's been ejected from a number of things, but I don't know if have you ever been ejected from a sporting event?
Oh no. As Michael knows, I'm practically a saint while playing a sport.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Abstaining from comment.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a very specific thing, and it's blank. So you're good.
Okay.
So Richard chose it. Why did you choose it?
Because there's an ejection that will come up that's my first choice that came up rather recently, a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And I saw it, and it made me laugh, and then made me start thinking about other ejections, because it's just silly.
Yeah.
It's silly that grown men and grown women manage to get themselves so worked up that they are no longer allowed to do their job. But then they're allowed to come back like the next day.
Yeah.
Like if I get my boss so mad at me, or I yell at my boss so much that he tells me or she tells me, you need to go home today, I'm probably not coming back to that job.
You've been fired.
They don't say, well, them's the breaks. Come back tomorrow. We'll start fresh.
Yeah.
You're a competitor. Understand these things happen.
Yeah.
No, that's not how real life works. So it's this sort of like break between how real life is and the sporting life.
Yeah. You're not at your job. You're not in San Diego one day, Cleveland the next.
That's also true. Not a traveling salesman, Jeff.
Okay, well, Richard thought of it, and Michael is going to be the first person to give us his first choice for the Mount Rushmore of sports ejections.
Well, the very first one I thought of is, I guess it's my favorite sports ejection, although, it's hard to say, like, oh my God, you have a favorite thing of someone embarrassing themselves so much, but is Phil Wellman, who's a minor league baseball coach for the Braves. And it is just, what's impressive about this ejection, it's a minor league baseball game coach, and he goes up to the umpire and he starts to argue that the umpire strike zone is too big. So he gets in his face. He's so worked up, and he starts like holding his hands. And it's good that's a video podcast. He starts holding his hands up, showing exactly how big the guy's strike zone is, holding him up, and then he goes the next step, and he goes up to it, and he starts covering up the home plate with dirt. He covers up the home plate with dirt, and then he draws a bigger home plate in the dirt with his hands. And then he goes back to the umpire, and he holds his hands out, and he shows it, and the guy gets, he's tossed. He might have been tossed.
He is tossed before that,
He tossed before that, but he's holding him up to show them that his strike zone is even bigger. So then he's walking back to his dugout, and he gets back close to third base, and he's like, this guy is still fired up. This guy is probably in his 50s?
50s or something like that, yeah.
Somehow in his 50s, overweight, and he kicks third base. He kicks third base again to get it loosed from, being, kind of inserted in the ground. He takes the third base and he starts walking towards center field. He walks towards second base and he just hucks it. He just throws third base into the middle of like center field. And so this guy, and he's still losing. He's still like ranting and raving and talking. Who knows what he's saying? And then he gets to the point where he's still yelling, just crazy. And then he gets down on his elbows. And he starts army crawling back towards the pitcher's mound, and he grabs the
rosin bag.
Rosin bag, and like he fakes to like pull the pin out like a grenade from the rosin bag, throws it, and then he storms off to center field to the
cheers of the crowd.
Yeah, can you imagine? I can't imagine all of this stuff that this guy's just continued to do. Any one of these is just like psychopathic. But to have them all combined, and like Richard said, come back the next day, it's just like, let's play ball. Let's exchange
lineup cards. And let's go.
Tony's playing third today. We didn't. Todd the Lion was in our last podcast, and Tony's playing third. It's like fine, and like this is just accepted. This person just had this complete mental breakdown where he turned into a literal like Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. Like.
Entirely juvenile.
It was the most, it's the most puerile and juvenile thing. It's just like, I love it also that he's also like a manager dressed in a baseball uniform too.
Just going to say that,
like, would it have been better if he was like dressed in like a suit, in like a really like natty, like well-fitting form suit? But like, he's just like this kind of guy in like a baseball uniform that doesn't fit with a belt, and it's like the army crawl. I think the army crawl and the grenade throw.
Yeah, that's what sets it over the top.
It's just like you just got to the point, and it's like I don't know how do you get to all of this? You got all of it in one.
Yeah.
By the way, the low key sneaky best part of it is actually the shortstop is kind of wandering around the mound as this is happening, and when he gets to the point where he starts army crawling and doing the grenade thing, the shortstop is trying his best not to just fall down laughing, because it is I don't know how you could be a player on his team and not be rolling about this, because it's so ridiculous.
Well, if you imagine, he must have been on the opposite team, because if he's complaining about the strike zone,
I think it was between innings or something. I can't remember.
Either way,
it was whoever it was. It was just ridiculous.
Any of these people like just hold their composure when someone is like an authoritative figure. Is the person that's like supposed to set a good example. Is just out there just.
Is this a minor league team?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was
do we think it might be some of like, was it like cup of chili night, or was it like collectible bat night, or was
it was rosin grenade night?
Grenade night. Do you think there's a little bit of theatrics in there? Because it seemed like he switched from rage into a performative mode in which he was.
Well, I do feel like if I remember this, there were because then he got notoriety he got his 15 minutes of fame. He was like on. Good Morning America and all this stuff. And then there was suddenly, you would see on SportsCenter these highlights of, remember Phil Wellman? Well, we've got another manager going nuts in the minor leagues.
Okay, yeah.
So it started this like almost like arms race of who could do the most ridiculous thing.
Okay.
So that definitely happened.
Yeah. If you want to see this video, go ahead and click on the Mount Rushmore page, and there are some links there for not just that Phil Wellman video, but also some other sports ejections and the hysteria that comes before them. So Richard is now going to share his first choice.
All right, so this is the one I mentioned that got me thinking about this. For these, and I'm laughing even at the name, the Major League Soccer's San Jose Earthquakes.
Wow.
One of my favorite names in all of professional sports.
Devastating nightmare to have happened.
They also have a Chicago Fire.
Oh, God.
So,
okay. Wow.
There's no new. Never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. Yeah.
Is there a Chicago cow fire?
The Mrs. O'Leary's.
Mrs. O'Leary's.
Anyway, their manager's Mateus Almeida, and he's Argentinian, and he's been there for about 3 years now, and he doesn't speak great English, so he has a translator there with him to help him just communicate with the players and other people, and he started getting into it with the sideline referee about something. It's really unimportant. It was just some sort of like didn't like the calls that weren't going his way. And the translator starts getting into it with the ref. And the main ref comes over, and there's a few seconds of him getting yelled at. And he kind of looks, and he just reaches his pocket, gives a red card to the translator. And the translator is gone. He's out of the game. Not to the coach.
Wait.
But to the translator. Coach only got a yellow card.
That's so funny.
So either, one of two things happened here. Either the translator got kicked out for saying whatever the coach was saying and just translating, and it was like killing the messenger. Mm-hmm. Or the translator decided he was going to go into business for himself and start like yelling at, maybe, I'll show coach. I'll show you how you do this in English.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Something like that. Who knows? But the fact that a translator can get ejected from a game, and I also appreciate the fact that Mateus Almeida is a very stylish kind of coach. He's got like, he's a former player. He's dressed like in slacks and a nice button-up shirt and everything. And then the translator is in these soccer shorts with a number on it and like a jersey. So he kind of half looks like he's a player. Yeah. And you're like, what are you doing? Why are you dressed up in soccer shorts? They're not going to put you in the game. Yeah. That's not happening.
No.
The whole thing was just ridiculous. And it was just like the most Major League Soccer thing that could possibly happen, because if anything ever happens that's incredibly like bizarre or second rate, or you're like, oh, that's a sign of a not great soccer league, happens in Major League Soccer.
What if it was a situation where it was a literal just like miscommunication, mistranslation? There was an episode of I Love Lucy once where someone didn't speak French, but they only spoke German, and the person that spoke German only spoke like Argentinian, and the person that spoke Argentinian only spoke like French and English. So like, what if the translation from the coach to the guy to the thing just missed a step?
Right.
And they're just like,
it's like a telephone game or something.
A game of telephone, and he, at the end of it, he's calling him Purple Monkey Dishwasher, and then, the umpire is just like, that's
it.
The ref is like, you're out of here. I cannot stand being called that thing.
Yeah, possible.
I guess also is there anything that the ref has done to disrupt that coach's job? Like that translator also wasn't relaying calls to the players.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he was there to help. If the coach wanted the player to go do something, and that player didn't speak Spanish, so he could help out and say, "Hey, Bobby, come and play a little wider or whatever."
That is an interesting thing that I don't quite understand, and Richard, hopefully you can clue me to. I don't watch a lot of soccer or any soccer, but it's a multicultural, multi-language, multinational sport, and when you play these huge tournaments, and you have this guy that comes out and is a referee from, let's say he's a ref from like France, and like the two teams are like I don't know, let's choose two opposing nations, say Japan and Brazil. I have no idea which World Cup or whatever this is in, but let's just say like they have to be able to communicate to both teams what they did, and there's a guy that's yelling at them in, I assume when you're angry you're yelling in your home language. Like some guy's yelling in Portuguese and some guy's yelling in Japanese, and there's a guy from France who's just like, listen, I don't know what you guys are saying.
I think it makes it easier, doesn't it?
Maybe
if you don't understand the language.
I just saw you like kick the guy in the face or in the balls or whatever, and
right.
You're gone. Or
right.
Here's your yellow card or like
red card.
The second time and you're
gonzo. Yeah, I think it just makes it easier that you, like I said, it's just sort of like just random letters being shouted at you that don't make any sense, versus if somebody actually says something that you understand. So it's probably easier just to walk away at that point.
Okay, what is your second choice, Michael Winters?
My second choice, as much as it may sound like a homer choice for my beloved Emily, it's Bobby Knight, head coach for the Indianapolis Hoosiers. Indiana Hoosiers, thank you. Throwing a chair across court in a 1985 game against Purdue. And who knows what the call is? It doesn't even matter. But the fact that Bobby Knight, as this fired-up head coach, the winningest coach in Hoosiers history, just gets so angry at all of his players. I believe he's choked them. He's done horrible things to his actual players, but he is, I think, probably most famous for being this guy that's picked up a chair from the result of a call and hurled it across court and then getting tossed for it and then being like indignant about it. I think that's the thing is like when you've done this thing that you have, it is so obvious that you need to get tossed for. It's not just like you've said something the wrong way to the wrong person at the wrong time and they misinterpreted, but you're physically hurling a chair across the court and then you're still like ranting about it. Like there's like just this breakdown in your brain. I think my choices so far have involved like these people that are, I don't necessarily think they're pushed to their extent. I think there's something in their head that makes them, the idea of greatness also involves, I must act, I must defend myself to the fullest, and the fullest is hurling this chair across court and like, they're just insane people out there. Like it's just these people should not be like involved with your children in spite of like whatever winning percentage is.
Yeah, but it's a really high winning percentage, Michael, to be fair.
You do make a good point.
Yeah.
They did win a lot. Mm-hmm. Maybe I should rethink.
Yeah. What's a one chair? I mean, I think it hit somebody who is in a wheelchair, but I mean, other than that, what's the big deal?
What is the end game for doing this just a little bit? Like if an ump throws a little bit of a fit, does that cause the umpire to ever question their strike zone or their judgment at all? Like, is there a reward for doing this to a small degree? Like, kind of getting some body English on the pinball machine might make the game go your way.
I mean, you've been an umpire in big-time professional kickball tournaments.
Of course.
And when you had, I don't want to name any names, but certain friends of ours screaming at you about what an idiot you were. Did that make you want to give them more calls?
It does not. It doesn't necessarily make my, personally speaking, so Richard is alluding to, a decade spent playing kickball, but not only playing kickball in a rec league, but umping kickball in a rec league and being in a position where, David Stern never had to like umpire a basketball game. I think there are points when the person that is like setting the schedule, the person that is answering all the nasty emails, the person that is ultimately running all of the umpires and referees in the league, the person that is like trying to encourage them to be understanding but also strong. Like the person that's like running this thing usually isn't the person that's like at first base or behind home plate or wherever they are getting yelled at the same. Like those things usually don't mix.
Right.
There's the person that's in charge usually is the person that's being like, yeah, well, you know what? Maybe I don't know. Maybe crossed home. I didn't see it that way.
They don't get that used to have more distance and anonymity than.
But when you are, playing a kickball game and you are involved in it within a recreational league, I think that you are. What was your question?
I was just wondering if you personally ever felt like after you got like berated about a call that it made you either reconsider your calls moving forward or say, you know what, screw those guys.
I understand that there are people that think that will happen. I think there are people that play the games, whatever game it is, that think that if I can make a big enough stink, then there's going to be a call that could go either way, that maybe they'll go my way in the future. I can't remember a call.
I imagine it's theatrics. I remember I was a coach, a captain, thinking I need to go out and have at least pretend to have strong words with the umpire, so my team knows that I care.
It was all performative.
It was performative, yeah.
I have certainly done that too. I've certainly walked up to the umpire after a call that didn't go our way and told them, you're doing a good job. But like, would do like big hands, or do like whatever, and would talk to them. It'd be like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're doing fine. Because ultimately, I was the person that was fucking running the league. So like, what am I gonna say? Like, listen to me. You know. But also from just like a captain's point of view, it would be like, you know.
We weren't going to win this one anyway.
But I understand that. I think that there is definitely, like you said, a performance-based, get your team to believe in you.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately...
Coach is fighting for us.
Coaches in the trenches.
Right.
And I think probably Bobby Knight certainly was just an insane person.
Yeah.
Let's
problems,
fast forward 25 years.
He's choking students.
Who's the person that he's cheering on now? And it's fucking Donald Trump. So, like, don't trust this guy 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Don't trust him now. He literally has shown who he is about tossing a...
Yeah.
Like, he thinks that this is the thing that you do to prove yourself as a person of importance. And he's, like, throwing his chair behind the person that is, like, a psychopath as well. So, like... I don't know. Who gives a shit about this asshole?
There was a Devils head, New Jersey Devils of the NHL coach, Robbie Ftorek, who threw the entire bench onto the ice. He actually one upper there. Yeah, that takes good amount of lower body strength to really lift that, and then upper body strength to heave it onto the ice.
Did he have an air ratchet with him too? Those things are probably bolted down. Yeah. Okay, so that is Bobby Knight, has been Michael's second, and Richard's second is what?
Okay, my second choice is Serena Williams at the 2009 U.S. Open.
Wow, okay.
When she was defaulted from the match again in her semifinal against Kim Clijsters. She had received a couple of warnings for verbal abuse earlier in the match, or at least one warning earlier in the match. Then at a key point, it was in the third and final set. She's down 6-5.
Yeah.
She's serving to try and stay in the match. And the lines person calls a foot fault on her, which basically means that her foot came across the line when she was trying to serve. And there was some debate about what words were exchanged. And by exchanged, I mean Serena Williams started screaming at the lines person. Yeah. There's some debate about what was said. It was possibly, I'm going to take this ball and shove it down your fucking throat.
Wow.
It was possibly, I'm going to kill you.
Wow.
It was possibly something a little bit less violent than that, but still, like, you had better be fucking right. It's one of those things. The linesperson goes over to the head umpire, reports what she heard was said, and Serena Williams was DQ'd.
Good.
Wow.
You know what? Going back to, like... kickball nonchalance. There was so much of that happened within our little recreational sports league of like shitty things said to umpires and referees and whoever that was just like blown off. It was like, whatever. Nobody wants to be the person to toss somebody out from a game.
Right.
No one wants to be the bad person. They want to let them play through in spite of like how much of a monster someone is. I love this person that going over and is just like, I'm just saying what they said.
Yeah.
And there you go. And then someone else can make the decision. I can't make the decision. I'm just telling you what they said to me, and there you go.
To be fair, snitches get stitches.
Well, you know what?
That's the counterpoint to that.
It does rhyme.
Yes, it does rhyme.
Yes.
And that is a good point.
Yes. No, I remember when this happened at the time, it was like, John McEnroe was on the commentary for this.
Oh.
And John McEnroe said, yeah, that's kind of over the top.
Oh, gosh.
When you've got Johnny Mac, the tennis brat,
Yeah.
saying you've gone a bit too far on that.
Yeah.
And people were just like, oh, this is going to ruin her reputation. Boy, this is going to be what people remember her by.
No.
Now it's flash forward 13 years. And I'm telling the story, and I'm sure 90% of our listening audience has either never heard it or had completely forgotten about it. Which just goes to show that we give sports athletes a lot of leeway when it comes to things that get them ejected from games.
Yeah.
You know, they can say the worst, most awful things, and we'll be like, well, heat of the moment.
Yeah.
You know, they're a competitor. Mm-hmm. That's what do you expect? They're fiery. Mm-hmm. It's like if you heard someone saying that about a cashier at the local grocery store, they'd be sent to jail.
Yeah.
That's what would happen. Or the cops would at least come and see if that person needs to go to the mental hospital.
Yeah.
That's what would happen.
They should be held to standards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, hey, we are at our halftime and want to invite you to go to your podcast aggregator, catcher of choice, and then download, rate, and review past episodes, or subscribe, because if you're watching this streaming, you ain't subscribed. And then, if you're listening to this on the podcast, thank you for listening. But then go down at the history of our podcast, and I think if you like sports, we have a lot of other sports topics, and
At least three.
at least 3.
Like one a season?
Yeah.
5?
David Brown listens to them all, so
He loves them.
he loves his sports.
Loves his sports.
Podcast. So yeah,
I gotta give him a call.
do us a solid and rate and review some past episodes too. It'll help other like-minded people figure out what you dig, and then they might dig on us too. So Michael Winfield's going to tell us his third choice.
Okay, my third choice. I got to make sure I get the name right because 2006, Zidane.
Zinedine Zidane.
You say
Whatever.
tomato.
I say tomato.
Fucking French. In the 2006 World Cup Finals of soccer.
Men's soccer play, please. Let's be gender correct.
He is this. Thank you. He is this
You're going to get
French
ejected, Richard.
French footballer that is as bald as the day is long. He's just like. But I think he bicks his head. I think he's one of those guys that like was going bald and then just like, this is my new tough guy look.
Okay.
So near the end of a game, which France was winning, I believe.
It was a draw. So far, they were tied at the time.
Okay, see, Richard is here as the
Sports expert.
sports expert to come on. They're playing against a team, and the guy on the other team says something to the likes of. He makes a comment about Zidane's sister.
Oh God.
But he didn't know that. Apparently, he didn't know that Zidane actually did have a sister. He just made. I am a tough guy on the field.
I am doing this thing with your sister type thing.
Okay.
And Zidane turns around, like the guy's running down the field, and he just puts his head down like he is Bald Bull in like Mike Tyson's Punch Out, or like an actual bull, and just headbutts this guy full on. Like he goes horizontal and just like bang and knocks the guys down. And like you see a lot of guys like flop on the field, like being touched or like sneezed upon, or like someone comments on the shape of somebody's earlobe and they fall in the field. And
right.
But he literally just like levels the guy and gets an immediate red card and is tossed off the field. And like so many of these like ejections so far that we've talked about are very warranted.
Yes.
Like so few that have brought up have been like, there's no way he should have gotten tossed out for that. But these are like people that are aggressive towards umpires, that are in this case literally ramming their head into another player because of something they said about their sister, one way or the other.
Wow. It was like the solar plexus, right? It was like wasn't head to head, but like
it was like in the chest.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a Scottish guy in a bar on a Friday night just being like, oh, either I'm friends with you or I hate you. And so here's
the old Glasgow kiss.
Yeah. It was just like, I'm putting my head down and just like you're running forward and kaboom. And I remember it being such a thing at the time. And like this was, 2006 and like kind of at the, kind of not beginning of the YouTube era, but I remember it being so prevalent. I remember just this thing being replayed over and over.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this guy is just really is laid into him. And that was just basically like the end of this guy's international career, was just getting like tossed off. He's done. He's over. And sometimes, with athletes, there's just like an aggression that is just like, you don't know where it comes from. These people that are so driven to compete and driven to win, and then they're also driven to be emotional and headbutt.
Be toddlers, basically.
Yeah.
That's like something your kid would do if he got really mad.
Exactly, yeah.
Headbutt you in the shin.
Well, better just go open a daycare now.
I do appreciate that this guy's name is like what Stan Lee would like create as like the worst like Bartok the Leaper is really named like Zinedine Zidane. It's like it's the worst letters.
I just love that these persons are all career athletes whose families or spouses probably, well, I don't know what I was going to say, what you're going to say, but may or may not have been watching the game, and then when they come home, they'll get the honey, how was work? And
I think that's interesting. Is so far nobody we've talked about has been like a 21-year-old like kid that's gotten tossed out because they were like uppity or whatever. Yeah. It's like these are all like 50, 60-year-old people. These are all people that are like seasoned athletes and seasoned people that still get to the point where they're like riled up and lose their brain over this thing that they've done for their entire life.
Well, in that case too, you just were like trying to get one last year out of it. You know, do you really need to do that to end your career?
Maybe there were commercials that he got out of it. Maybe it was like Zidane just like headbutting like I don't know, eggplants, or he was like the spokesman for a juicer that was just like crushing things, or like a mortar and pestle.
Some people aren't squashing their cans before they put them in the recycling bin. You know what I say to that? Oh, wow. Or bike helmets. Okay, so Richard, what's your next one?
All right, 2007. And by the way, Michael, you did mention that all of these are ones so far where people deserved it.
Yeah.
All right, here's one where maybe not. 2007, Spurs are playing the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay. And
Tim Duncan, their star center, early in the game gets a technical foul from referee and noted hothead Joey Crawford for arguing an offensive foul. No big deal. Things happen all the time. Later on in the game, or a few minutes later, Joey Crawford looks over at the San Antonio bench where Tim Duncan is sitting with his teammates and laughing. Joey Crawford immediately ejects Tim Duncan from the game, gives him his second technical foul, and he's gone. Because Joey Crawford, who has a reputation for making the game all about Joey Crawford and making sure that you know that Joey Crawford refereed this game because he's going to make himself part of the game. According to him, he thought that Tim Duncan was laughing at him. Oh. And so that's why he gave him a technical. According to Tim Duncan, Joey Crawford also offered to fight him.
Wow.
He basically said, what do you want to fight? Tim Duncan was the most bland and boring player in NBA history. His nickname
7 foot, 6 foot, 10 feet of oatmeal, Tim Duncan.
Basically, his nickname was the Big Fundamental because he did everything fundamentally super well, but he had no flash to him whatsoever. So the fact that he's the guy who gets ejected there's one time he gets ejected in his career is for laughing on the bench. Is just fantastic. The epilogue to this story is that Tim Duncan was fined $25,000 from the league for official abuse. Joey Crawford was suspended for the rest of the season.
Oh, wow.
So this is the one time where the whole ejection blew up in the referee, umpire, whoever's face.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is it the only time or the first time?
I probably could think of a couple of times where umpires have been given some time off because they didn't handle the situation well. I can't think of another time where someone was basically sat down for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Well, I'm really kind of on pins and needles because we're going into the last round and there has not been any wrestling yet. And I know umpires in wrestling.
It wasn't. The topic wasn't sports in quotation marks ejection.
Yeah. Sports entertainment ejections.
And I guess in wrestling, the physical ejections happen all the time.
Literally over the top of the rope, yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, Michael, what is your last choice?
My last choice. I do not have a specific person. I have the actual physical movement of throwing somebody out of the game.
Oh, okay.
By a sports ejection. It is so unmistakable that someone takes their finger and they points and they're just like
points at the person sometimes. You got to do that one.
And then they literally they throw them with power of their finger, they are ejected from the game. And then either somebody loses their mind most of the time. Nobody likes being thrown out of a game. But there's just that moment, that power, and you could almost see them welling up. Where sometimes you see someone like a player yelling at an umpire's face, let's say in a baseball, like just arguing balls and strikes, and I can't believe you did this thing. And then, the umpire starts to get like all stiff. Boom, and then just throw them out. Maybe they have, maybe it's more subtle, like Richard just did, just like you're gone. Just tap it out, you're gone.
That's another one.
Or like maybe
the thumb,
like
the heave-o,
a Clark Gable, sort of like Bugs Bunny, like just like, or you just like you do one of these things,
right?
Whining thing, and you're out there. But like, just it's so like there's the power of that. And what are you gonna do? Like, maybe you're gonna throw a rosin bag like a hand grenade, but ultimately, all you're gonna do is act like a baby in front of this person that is ultimately in power. That's gonna stop the game until you, by the power of their finger, you leave the premise. The premises. Like you're off the playing field. Like, what is your action once you are tossed? Very little you can do, but the power of that finger. And then you're gone. And then I do like that the person has been yelling at the umpire. The person has been yelling at the referee. Whatever you have. I do like when they are crazy on the other side of being tossed out, as if.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I've lost my mind. I've been yelling in your face for a full minute, and then you tossed me out, and then you're like, "You tossed me out."
What?
It's like, I would love it to be like,
behold the consequences of my actions.
Instead of like a finger, be like, you just Can we?
Don't you remember? Yeah.
Can we rewind this real quick? We did this thing. You were an asshole. You didn't like the rules. I tossed you out. And but
this reminds me.
They had to be just so strong. Just be like, gone.
My old downstairs neighbors, where the dad would yell at the kids and they'd start crying, and he would say, "Why are you crying? I'm just yelling at you." Yes, that's why we're crying.
You brought up kickball earlier, and that was one thing that I wish I did more. I wish I was stronger in tossing people out of games. There were so many more people that played kickball.
I didn't know it was even allowed.
That deserved to just, like, I wish there was a more no-nonsense policy.
Right.
Because ultimately, at the end of the night, within rec league kickball, you're there and you go to the bar afterwards and you're drinking. You're friends with these people. You don't want to throw them out of a game that they've literally paid to play.
I wish there was a coupon for Foster's Freeze or something. You were ejected, but on the back is like a coupon or something, like a free cone, small cone.
I didn't have that.
That would have been great.
It's so good. You get a free drink,
free drink at the bar.
It just comes out of the
League slush fund.
Yeah.
Michael Winfield slush fund. Did you ever kick anyone out of a game?
Early. I had to stop a game. I think
you kicked an umpire out of a game one time.
I had to kick an umpire out of the game from another game that I was umpiring in because that umpire was drunk. But I think that maybe I had kicked one person out of a game, or yes, I've done it because the other person on another field was inebriated, like threatening to fight someone in the parking lot. It was like you're done from the league for the rest of the season or something. But it wasn't being an umpire; it was more just like being like the league rep. I think I had more official standing to be like, you can't threaten to fight somebody like that. It doesn't work that way.
I remember I ejected one person, and it was in Hollywood. It was a game that I wasn't even playing in the league, but they had me come over because they knew it was going to be really heated. And something happened. There was a play at the plate. I made a call. The team was angry about the other team celebrating or something, and somebody just booted the ball into where the other team was, like 10 feet away from them. Just kicked it as hard as they could and hit a girl in the head. Oh, God. And I was just turning around. I was like, whoever kicked that is gone. Yeah. And if I literally was like, whoever kicked that is gone. And if you don't fess up to it, your team forfeits.
Yeah. Nice.
And the guy was like, oh, it was me. I was like, okay, you got to go. He didn't argue it, to be fair. Yeah. But that was the only time I felt good. I felt like a big man.
Yeah. Nice. So your last choice, Richard.
Okay, my last choice. It is 2000 and I'm going to look this up. 1999. My bad. We do a lot of research.
We were partying so much that year.
Yeah.
It's just they all kind of blend together. It's like 2020 and 2021, how they're just like one big year at this point. Bobby Valentine is managing for the New York Mets, and there is a catcher interference call on his catcher, Mike Piazza, and he is very upset about it. Goes out, gets in the umpire's face, ejected. They do the little standard everything Michael just laid out. What are you kidding? He goes into the dugout, and a couple of the pitchers who aren't playing that day, so they're just kind of hanging out in the dugout, are like, well, why don't you go back out there? Well, I can't because I got ejected. Well, don't let that stop you. So he goes and he gets his sunglasses, and he goes and gets, the eye black that the players wear under their eyes for the glare? Yeah. Those are stickers. Nowadays, they're not, most of the time, they're not like paint that they're drawing on. And he puts a couple of those on each side of his face. And I'll show you what he looked like, Jeff.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And threw on a T-shirt.
Well, he should have done like, the Charlie Chaplin Hitler mustache. That's the trick.
Right.
No one.
Who's going to eject Hitler?
Would have a Hitler.
Yeah.
Like in the dugout. So
yeah.
It can't be.
That's like a fake Burt Reynolds. He looks kind of like Stroker Ace.
He does a little bit. And then so he decided to put on this fake mustache and these sunglasses and a T-shirt and just go wander back out into the dugout and hope nobody noticed him. Somebody noticed him. And he had to go back and leave again. He wound up getting suspended for a couple of games. But it's one of the iconic baseball ejections of all time when the manager just decided, no, I'm going to come back. And I'm going to have the worst possible. Because at first it almost looks like the Groucho Marx, glasses and mustache type combo.
He does look like Chuck Swirsky's sports fans.
He should have done like evil Hulk Hogan, just like
the handlebar thing.
Handlebars coming down to the side, or maybe just put like a goatee on there. Like if you're gonna do it, go all out.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, and I just love this concept that the manager was just so confident that this Inspector Clouseau level costume was going to work.
I love that he rejected the finger point of the umpire. He rejected that ultimate authority and was just like, guess what? I'm down here.
Yeah, but do something about it. Do something about it.
What a time for his undiagnosed schizophrenia to rear its head. So people realize.
No, I'm not Bobby. My name's Todd. Oh wait, that's the lion. Sorry, from last episode. I have this other
person that I become whenever I get kicked out of something.
Right.
Okay. So a lot of fun topic. I implore you, had you listened to this via our streaming right now or on our podcast, to go to the Mount Rushmore page and look at some of these sports ejections. They're a lot of fun. And they do go back, like Michael, you were saying that one of them's like kind of like one of the first viral videos, the Zidane.
God, that guy busted that guy right in the.
Yeah.
And they were playing Italy. So that guy was falling like a house of bricks.
He's 3 glasses of wine into it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's pick some. Let's go with Phil Wellman just because it's so theatrical and hilarious. And the Bobby Valentine one is also really so amazing. And then I think just to I like I'm a KU guy, so screw Bobby Knight. So give that guy. What's Sports Thumbs? What was that one?
The tossing. The act of ejecting somebody.
That's one of Michael's weird esoteric things. So I'm not going to do that. The last one. Let's do Serena, because people need to know how much of a monster she really is, despite her many endorsements. And the fact that she devoured her sister Venus. We never hear about Venus anymore.
They talk about Saturn devouring.
They do. Oh, yeah.
The picture of Saturn devouring his son.
Yeah.
They never talk about
Serena devouring Venus. This has been the Mount Rushmore of sports ejections. I, as always, am Richard.
Those are your choices?
Oh, man.
You're making those choices?
Sorry.
You cannot be serious!
Sorry.
I'm Richard.
I'm
Yay.